I'm Gary Nickerson.
And I'm Quinn Taggart.
And this is Outside My Window. We're not far away from one of the most popular summer events in southwestern Nova Scotia. That's the Yarmouth Rotary Ribfest. Now, it takes place July 7th to 9th. That's a Friday to Sunday on the grounds of Mariner Centre. Ribfest is a professional barbecue competition that has expanded itself right across North America and has branded itself as one of the largest events that travel across North America to raise money for charity. To tell us more about this year's event, we have Rick Alwright. He's with Mile East Productions, and this is a huge event. So when did the Rotary Club first take over the event?
So the Rotary Club kind of took it's a bit of a long story, only because COVID kind of interrupted the progress. So last year was the first time Rotary actually put the event on. But Rotary had taken it over 2 or 3 years before that, after the last time All Events Management, Keith Condon, had run the event. He got to that point where he was ready to hand that off, and Rotary was the natural fit for it to come to, because of many Ribfests across the country are run by Rotary clubs. So, it's been 4 to 5 years since they've taken it over officially, but only done the event actually one time.
As mentioned, it's a charity that raises a lot of money across North America. So how is it determined which charity will be the beneficiary each year? And what about this year?
Yeah, so Rotary Club was, and for the most part, the Rotary clubs or the Ribbers will approach Rotary clubs to put these events on. So Halifax basically they've been doing this for a while. And part of the agreement with the Ribbers is to help them find new locations, and connect them with people that they know. So it's a lot of just networking, and Rotary is a big organization across the world. So what ends up happening is they'll be doing a Ribfest in a certain location, and those members will say, well, I know some guys down in Yarmouth, and they got a great Rotary club, and I think they could pull one off. Let me get you in touch with them. So that's how they kind of grow those out, and so to the roster that they have. Initially, when Keith was doing this, Rotary Club was approached early on, but there just wasn't the 1 or 2 members that really wanted to take it on and go for it, because it is a big undertaking. It's not a small thing to take on. There's we're talking $100,000 to $150,000 budget involved in this, so it's a significant project for people to take on. So it's not for anyone that a little lighthearted and doesn't have the experience in doing this sort of thing.
Does the Rotary Club partner with other organizations on this?
Yeah, we sure do. So we bring in the Lions Club as one example. So they run a 50-50 at the event. We partner with Yarmouth Ground Search and Rescue. They operate our parking. And then the 4-H, there's one 4-H club and the Boys and Girls Club who works with the Green Team, and it's a big fundraiser for them as well. So they handle all the cleanup of throughout the weekend of garbage and whatnot, and it's no small task. And we have a great guy by the name of Kevin Frost who leads that team and has been leading that team for a while now, and he's worth his weight in gold, because there's no one else that really wants to deal with it, and he's more, him and his wife and his whole family gets involved in it, and they're easily one of the most valuable volunteers that we have as part of this event. So we can't thank them enough for the work that they do, because it's a little messy.
Well, one of the big things from Ribfests in the past has been the location of where things were going to be. We had her once down on the waterfront. We had it once at Marina Center, but in the far end of the paved parking lot. And now we're in behind where the exhibition normally sets up for the midway and such. So you had 1 year under your belt for that. But what were your takeaways from that from last year? What worked, what didn't, and what sort of changes are you going to make for this year?
From what we had received feedback on for that location was it was probably one of the better events and better locations for it. Some of the negatives around it was, it's a dusty parking lot. It's like, yes, it is, but exhibitions happen there too, and it's the same thing. And if it happens to be a little bit wet, it's not so dusty. It's great. We ideally need to, if we had enough money and the Marina Center was interested in it, we would do a little bit of adjusting to the where the grass is in that area, because it does affect how the trucks set up. It is a little tighter of a location than we would really want. We could use not half of it again, but probably a quarter of it again, because we do kill so much space with the grass that's behind the rib trucks, and we can't put the rib trucks up on that grass. So yeah, there's a few little things, but overall it definitely worked. We're gonna be adjusting where the stage is this year. We'll be adjusting some of the vendors a little bit. Last year we ended up having a liquor tent that also had non-alcoholic, and we had a totally non-alcoholic tent. We're just combining those into one tent this year just to make it all easier and to reduce the demand on volunteers a little bit. But in all reality, there was very little sales at that other just non-alcoholic tent. So just little things like that, really just, just learning as you go. And so, yeah, we work with what we have, and we're not out there to make wholesale changes to those facilities, and they're not ours. We do work with the exhibition a fair bit because we utilize some of their resources and their people. And last year we had a big generator set up back there. This year, and then right after the event, exhibition went and put in the kind of power fixture that we need to have a permanent solution there. So we don't need to bring in the generator this year, so we can save a little bit of money there. And so I think as we do this year over year, we'll be able to make more little improvements here and there that make the event easier to do, and potentially other events easier to do too. So we're definitely more than happy to work with the exhibition to make their event easier to do. And it does joining forces a little bit with them, considering they're in the exact same space, makes a lot of sense.
I mean, that's one of the key elements on any event that gets done in the area, is to be able to provide constructive feedback. I'll emphasize that word, rather than just trolling on the internet and saying, "Oh, it was shit" or "crap" or whatever. Yeah. And to be able to provide that constructive feedback, it translates into changes.
Absolutely, and there's you always hear feedback around certain components of something, of why did it happen that way, and why, and once and maybe not everyone would understand, but there's generally a reason for everything that happens. We certainly make mistakes, and we learn from those mistakes, but we generally learn from the things that we're doing, and the things that are happening and that we're doing are happening for a reason. It's because we've either tried it at this event or done it somewhere else and know what's going to work. There's always some challenges around the layout of the place, and pricing and parking, and people want, and people. This isn't. This is a free event to come to, but it's not cheap to come to it. This is certainly not an event that is accessible to some, and we totally get it. And that, and you know what, we are specifically raising money for food security. We are trying to help those people at the end of the day, and that's what this event's about. So there's definitely some challenges there as we
And that's built into the price point.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's no different than buying a ticket to the hospital gala, or which isn't done anymore. But I mean, that's a great example. You're going to pay, a little bit more for the ticket, but baked into that is the donation back into the community.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a huge. This is a fundraising event. We are raising money to help with food security issues in this area. So we're out there to make money,
and it stays in this area.
and it's staying in this area. So it's a huge component to what we do. So yeah.
Rick, obviously you can't bet on an event of this quality and magnitude without two special groups and sponsors and volunteers. Can you talk about those folks?
Yeah, so this year, in terms of sponsorship, we've done phenomenal. So Paul Camo, who is the chair of this event for the Rotary Club, he has been out there pounding the pavement since early in the year, if not before, drumming up sponsorship. And we have probably 20% more sponsorship sales this year than we did last year. So yeah, we have this year we brought on a presenting sponsor within the McCarran Auto Group. So they were a day sponsor for us last year, and had a great presence. And Kelly and the whole team with the McCarran Auto Group, the whole family there has been a big supporter of the event and of the Rotary Club, and they want to expand their presence at this event. And so they come on as presenting sponsor, and then we have theme day sponsors, zone sponsors, our green team sponsors. All told, I think there's probably about 40 sponsors involved in this event. And then, of course, volunteers being the other huge component to this. So we'll probably have about 50 volunteers on site throughout the weekend, running everything from the beer garden, helping with the token sales. There's 50-50 happening. Setup is a huge thing that you don't necessarily see, and you don't necessarily see those people face to face. They're the behind the scenes guys that want to, they do the heavy lifting to make it all actually come together. The green team volunteers, while some of them are getting donations in return for their service, they are donations to their club that they're involved in. So there is a significant amount of volunteers involved in making this happen, including every member of the Rotary Club. So who are all doing this on a volunteer basis. So it's a huge undertaking. It is a big project for the club, and it's a great event for the region that we definitely want to keep happening. So yeah.
When do you start organizing for the following year's Ribfest? I mean, these vendors are booked well in advance. Do you talk to them, like at this year's event, would you say, hey guys, want to come back next year because we're doing it again, right?
Yeah, so for the most part, those big, like the ribbers, like unless they were to have a really bad experience, they're going to keep coming. So at the end of this year's Ribfest, yes, we will be talking about next year's Ribfest with the vendors, especially the ribbers, making sure that they're happy and that they're coming back. Because we want to have things booked already. We'll have the venue booked and stuff early on. It is a rotation, so we fit in very nicely with their rotation. They're in Halifax over Canada Day weekend. Then they come to us, and then they go to Sydney the weekend after that. They're just doing a circuit.
Just doing a loop, yeah.
Just doing a circuit around. And they start in I'd say late May, doing their circuits across the country. So they have most of these rib teams have a West team and an East team. So they're doing multiple rib fests in one weekend, and some of them you have a third truck. So they, they're most of June they are in New Brunswick doing rib fest throughout New Brunswick. So and then they come here. A few of them go over to Newfoundland, do ones. There's a few that go to PEI. Some, not all. So there's more than the 5 that we get as well, and then they'll split up and do different things.
I was going to ask that whether or not it's the same group that kind of travels together. If I went to Ribfest in Halifax, would it be the same?
It is for the most part, but not necessarily. Like I think there's 6 trucks in Halifax. So there's one we don't get. I can't remember his name, but that he'll go do some different ones that some of the other guys aren't doing. And there's some events where they'll split into groups of 3 and go do things, just because they're smaller events. And then there's a whole group of vendors that basically follow these guys at the same time. So the tater truck guy, Tater King. So he just follows along with these guys. Like it's actually related, I think, family relation to one of these guys. So it makes sense. And then there's Lemonade Stand, and they just follow these guys too. They're just with them. Our Jolly Rancher slushy truck, he just does a circuit with them as well. So and there's a bit of that just following that they just. So basically, once you get these guys coming, you got a group of another 3 to 4 coming with them. Whether you want them or not, they're going to come, and they add to it, and they do a good bit of business, and it attracts people to it, especially for some of our non-meat eating friends. The Tater King provides a vegetarian-ish option that they can at least come with their friends and enjoy it at the same time as their meat eating friends.
Just like the onion bloom or blooming onion or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, and on that note, on menu options, is there gluten-free options as well?
Yeah, most of the meat is gluten-free. Almost last year, all the sauces were gluten-free that they were putting on them. So they are pretty mindful of that. As it's not necessarily something you'd always expect, but with the changing demographics and people having more of these sensitivities present, that they are definitely leaning into that and making sure that they're open to everyone.
And if you like their sauce, if you like their presentation, they usually have merch available as right?
Yeah, they definitely have merch available. A lot of them will have sauces that's available for sale. Some will have rubs for sale. I know I have Krabby's all-purpose rub sitting in the cupboard at home. I use it quite a bit actually. So so there's definitely those options, and there's usually some merch around as well. And we'll have a little bit of merch on the last day this year. We're trying something out. So
And what about entertainment? Like last year, you had some bands and you had some theme nights and so on. So give us a sense of what's coming up this year.
Yeah, so more or less the same kind of themes. On the Friday, we're calling our East Coast Kitchen Party, and has a new sponsor to it. That's the Coastal Restoration Society. You might have seen them around a little bit. They'll be on site talking about what they do. But so we'll have, I think, 3 bands on Friday throughout the day, mostly in the evening. And so they're just East Coasty type music that we'll hear from them. Then on Saturday, it's our Acadian Day, which we did last year, and it's again sponsored by the credit union, Coastal Financial Credit Union. So as you might expect, you're going to hear quite a bit of Acadian music. And a part of that is, and we'll be seeing our friends from the Congrès come and put on a bit of a show as well. and they're going to provide some entertainment throughout the day. So Saturday definitely going to be the busiest day of entertainment. So and usually is the busiest day of Ribfest. And then on Sunday we're changing this one up to be Family Day, and this is going to be sponsored by Canadian Tire. So we have the great Tim Beanie coming to do some kids shows and music and a little bit of balloon art too, I think. So and along with some other family friendly type of entertainment.
Tim Beanie's always a good show.
Oh, he does a great show, and he's excited to get down here and see family and put on a good show for Ribfest. So always enjoy working with him. But yeah, and obviously we have throughout the whole weekend we have Big Bounce there, putting on a great show. They're gonna have probably more equipment there than they did last year. And so selling tickets and wristbands to do that all day long, and definitely keep those kids tired going home.
Keep them entertained while the parents eat their ribs and chicken, right?
Absolutely.
So, on an event like this, and with all the volunteers that you have behind the scenes, what's it like trying to organize all of this logistically? I mean, certainly it's got to be a bit of a challenge, but are you into a groove yet?
I think this is part of where myself and our team at Mile East come in to do this work. So we it's the Rotary Club's event, and I am a Rotarian, but we basically the agreement was the Ribfest would not happen if we weren't involved. So it does come. So along with our experience of doing this, just makes it that much easier to be able to put together. So last year, yes, was a bit more difficult because there's a few things that we hadn't done before, so we were figuring it out along the way too. But in all reality, having our experience, the Mile East team's experience putting on events, it makes it just go a little bit smoother. And because at the end of the day, a lot of the processes and a lot of the people are exactly the same. We're calling the exact same security companies for everything that we do. That's just what there is. It's the same porta potty company that we just first name basis texting. We just get it done. Like we just know
you can't mess with the porta potties.
No. and it comes down to that we know these people and we're able to get this stuff done a lot quicker than most others would be able to. So and that's where our partnership really works and why we're involved.
I can't think of a better location than outside the Mariner Center. I mean, you've got the parking, you've got the space for all the different zones. So talk about that. Maybe for folks who've never been to the Yarmouth Ribfest before, what can they expect when they go through the gates?
Arriving on site at the Mariner Center, you're going to be greeted by the Yarmouth Ground Search and Rescue team. So they'll be helping you get parked on site. We do on-site parking for $2. It's a total donation straight to the Yarmouth Ground Search and Rescue team, who do so much great work in our community and the surrounding area. So definitely make sure you're ready for that when you come on site, and you can definitely feel free to give more than the $2 too. That's quite common. So you'll get on site, you'll get parked, and then you'll make your way to, I guess it's the south-ish side of the Mariner Center. Then you walk through the gate. You'll be greeted by Rotary Club members. Again, they'll be asking for, not necessarily asking, but a free will donation is encouraged. And that is, again, going to the work that Rotary Club does and fighting the food insecurity issues that we're facing. To your left, once you walk in that gate, you'll see the whole kids zone. Straight ahead is all our ribbers and our major vendors, including the slushy truck, the Tater King. To your right will be The entertainment zone, we'll have a couple more vendors in there. And to the back of the seating area that's in front of the Ribbers, you'll see there'll be our beer tent. You'll see the green team spread out all over the place with different stations. And then all the way to the back is where our washrooms are, our office is. And yeah, that's basically it. It's not a complicated layout. You can see once you walk in there, you can see basically where everything is really quickly. It's totally open inside. We've got basically everything's around the perimeter that you'd want to get to and be able to see. And then lots of great seating to sit down and enjoy. And it's definitely something you can definitely come and spend a good couple hours, especially if you have some young ones, and grab a wobbly pop or two and enjoy.
This is a great family event. We want to stress that, the children are more than welcome, and there's lots for them to do. But I'm wondering about pets. Sometimes people will bring their pets to these events. That, I think, is being discouraged for obvious reasons.
Yeah, so we do discourage bringing pets. Service animals are totally fine. That's no problem with that. But we do discourage bringing pets on site. There's a few reasons for it. The main one being food safety. This is a common rule among Ribfests across the country, and really we just followed what the model that everyone else was doing. But it's a food safety thing, and then it's also, in all reality, we don't want to. And I'm a dog owner, but we don't want to have that extra risk on site necessarily. There's a lot of people, and it's just one less risk factor for us, especially with the food and alcohol being on site. So yeah,
it's a very clean and safe environment. I mean, kudos, as I mentioned last year, to the folks that keep that place clean. That's just amazing.
They go all night. Making sure that place is clean. Kevin and his wife are there. They get there probably at 10 a.m. and they're generally not gone until 2 a.m. every day of the event. They work a few days before the event to get ready, and then it's even on the Monday after. There's still cleanup happening. So there's not enough thanks in the world for that crew, because they take it to the extreme and they do the best job they possibly can do. They are looked at by all other Ribfests and Waste Check and those organizations as being a model for how to do this. And we've put them up for awards. Waste Checks put us up for awards because of them. And it's a huge undertaking for them, and we have a great partner with Duffus to get it all off site, and then our service providers do a fabulous job to make sure that all the work that they go to make that clean isn't put to waste by things not being picked up quickly.
Well, certainly. I mean, when you're dealing with an outdoor event like that, and with a lot of food products combined with possibly plastic cutlery and the like, you got to separate all that. Yeah. It's got to go in the right place.
Yeah, it takes a lot. It's so basically they set up sorting stations where they will put a volunteer or two to receive the garbage, and those volunteers will sort it by hand to ensure that they don't have cross-contamination.
It's messy work.
It is extremely messy work. It is long days. It is generally hot. There's just not enough thanks in the world for what they do. I think Linda put it best, is like, I don't want to do it, and I will do whatever I need to do in order to keep this crew doing this work. So it goes a long ways, and we are more than happy to provide those donations to those service clubs to make this happen. So, and if there's a service club out there that is looking for some sort of financial support or looking to do those and has a crew of people, it doesn't have to be Green Team, but there are ways to get those groups involved too.
So are you still accepting volunteers as part of your part of the event?
Yeah, we sure will. If there's any interest in volunteering, you can hit up the Facebook page or the website, and there's the information is right on there to sign up, and there's emails and whatnot. Just send us a message. There's always a role for someone, even if it's only just a couple hours here or there. We can definitely get you involved, and you can come check out Ribfest. And there's some great perks to it. You get a great Ribfest shirt. I still see the last year's going around. So, and we feed you too. So
Let's talk about food, guys. Talk about some ribs. And it's not just ribs. There's other food there too, right, Rick?
yeah, there sure is. So we talked about Tater King. We do have some dessert options as well.
If you have room.
If you have room, yeah. So the churros anyone, yeah. Last year they're back again. They sold out basically every day last year, so definitely don't want to hold back there, and make sure you get in line early for that one. I believe we have corn on the cob this year. I'm hoping, and I think there'll be a couple other food vendors too. We do try to keep in terms like the main meal, we kind of keep it to the ribbers, and then we kind of fill in around the peripheries of especially the dessert stuff and the kind of the things that kind of go with it. We've been approached by other vendors about doing like burgers or fish and chips or that sort of stuff, and it's like, and based on the feedback we've gotten from other vendors that have done this in other places and other rib fests, we kind of slightly suggest that we're probably not going to have a great weekend, and as much as we'd like to take your money, we don't want to take it and then you have a really bad weekend and you'd be really pissed off. So we keep it it's Ribfest, and those are the main items that they're there for that. We would be open to a vegan, more vegetarian option if someone were to come along and want to do that. But definitely, the main thing is the ribs, and that's what people are really coming for, and what it's all about. So, but yeah, there's a few other options for people that maybe don't want it or want to try something different. I think last year I think I only ate ribs once over the weekend. I was like smelling it all day long.
You're smelling
it
yeah.
for 4 or 5 days, and like I can't do this anymore.
and then you smell like it for a week afterwards, right?
So how long does it take the ribbers to set up from the time they pull in with the trucks?
It is surprisingly quick. They'll probably arrive Monday, Tuesday, depending when they take off from Halifax. We will put them in place Thursday morning, probably about 9 a.m., and they will be cooking by noon.
Wow.
To be ready for the next day. It is really quick for them to set up. It takes more time for us to get them power than anything else. How their rigs are set up it's very self-contained. They're literally putting up the roofs, putting up their big signs, but all their barbecues and everything are right on board, and literally all they gotta do is plug them in and go, and get them propane. 4
Plug
hours,
and play.
4 hours and they're cooking, no problem. Yeah. Because our electricity crew are like a little, we call them vendor support more or less. So Steve Fugier and his crew, getting them power and water. Like they're on it real quick in the morning to make sure that everything can get laid out as quickly as possible, just to get them fired up and going. So because they do want ribs and other meats can take quite a while to cook, so they need to get ahead of that. So they spend a good part of Thursday prepping and getting ready, and getting ribs and whatnot cooked ahead of time, and then late in the day they'll put on briskets to cook overnight, and then then we're off to the races.
Do people have their favorite ribbers, or do people try them all? I suppose it varies from person to person.
I think it really does vary person to person. There's definitely some people who have their favorites, and I think that more comes out of the experience of having been to other rib fests. You'll see them go back to those guys, and they'll even know some of them by name, and they've formed friendships with these guys too, right? So, and then you'll see others that are walking out with a to-go package from every single place, and like, great, no, like, it's all good, whatever you want, right? And like, it's and I think that you see you see a bit of both. It's really kind of all over the place. I know I don't think I've eaten from the same place every year. Yeah, I've kind of switched it up over time, so just to try them all. And one of them is from my hometown in Ontario, so
You're sort of obligated.
yeah.
It's a 3-day event. Do some people come all 3 days?
We have seen people all 3 days. They and it comes back to that wanting to try more than one place. And so they'll come Friday for lunch, say, or right after work, probably on their own, and then come back on Saturday, probably with the family, have a bit more time, maybe be there for a few hours, and enjoy a bit more of all the things that are happening, and then come on Sunday just because you don't want to cook.
Now, it's not just a food festival, if I can use that phraseology. It is a competition. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so there is a competitive piece to this. They definitely are all, they're all friends, but they all have a competitive streak in them. So we and this is kind of how these things get started. Is a Rib Fest is a competition from the very roots of it. So they've always kept that kind of going. So we have I think 5 or 6 categories this year that we're judging. We will have some celebrity judges on the. I think we're doing a Sunday again this time. There'll be a few hour window where the trucks will make up items for taste testing. There'll be a panel of judges that get to do the tasting. We have a whole rubric of how to judge, and we probably will have our pro judge back. I believe he's coming to kind of help lead it a little bit. And then on Sunday, late in the day, because don't want to prejudice anyone too much, we will announce those winners. And one of the things we're doing, kind of back to the green team, is we're making a bit of a competition this year of keeping your truck green and being the cleanest and the truck who sorts their waste the best and supports the green team the best. So so that's a little neat thing that we don't believe happens anywhere else. And it's, I believe one of the trucks actually suggested it last year. So we're putting that in place. And so there's another little bit of competition, because they do like their competition.
Now, I know last year, for the awards, they have them all displayed up on their placards, right? Who won which and whichever. They kind of change up over time. So, like, if I don't win today, then maybe next week I'll win. But How did they make the adjustments, or do they let you know how that works?
If I were one of them, I probably wouldn't change things too much. Only because you are gonna see different people, and quite honestly, we're not bringing in a panel of professional barbecue judges to do it.
Celebrity panel.
So it is personal preferences, and that's what it is. So,
but it's also blind. It is a blind taste test.
It is totally blind. You have no idea who's what. And the way we do it is we'll go and get, so for the ribs, we'll go and get a set of ribs from each ribber, enough for every judge. We'll be off in another tent, be close to the judges. We will plate them for the judges, so one at a time. So they literally have there's no way to know. It kind of just goes through that process the whole time. There's the whole but there is a judging rubric that we use that is I think it's from the barbecue competition. Barbecue competitions are the states that do that. So it is standardized, at least. It's not, we're not just leaving it up in the air and figure out how you're doing it.
But it's a People's Choice Award as well the people the customers can vote on as well, right?
So we do that. If you are at Ribfest, please vote for your favorite rib. Try a couple and please do vote. The ribbers will hand out ballots, and we will have ballots too in a few locations, and might even do I haven't set that up yet, but we'll probably do something online this year just to see how that goes. But definitely vote, because it does make a difference, and it is a competition. They want to know fan favorite, and People's Choice does go a long way. It is one of the more coveted awards. So definitely get out there and vote, and we need your votes. Just not campaigning here, but
Yeah, but you are.
Yeah.
It's easy when you live in a community to take things for granted. What makes Yarmouth such a special place for events like the Yarmouth Rotary Ribfest, and what kind of feedback do you get from those folks?
They enjoy the people here, and makes a huge difference. I know they'll end up down at Dooley's or Johnny Patches, and half the staff will know them already. They'll walk it in there, because the ribbers that the staff that are traveling are usually year over year. There's a lot of the same crew, a little bit of change over here and there, but they know these guys, and they're coming to a place they already know, and they enjoy. There is a factor there with the owners that they got to make money. This is a business for them, so and they can make money here, and it does well. So we would be considered a small market for Ribfest, but we're not the smallest, and there is good money to be made here for them. So they keep coming back, and I think that events overall, it always comes down to people, and being able to put on, get the volunteers and get the access to the people, and have the support of the community goes a long way.
Now, knock on wood, last year the weather cooperated.
Yes.
This is a weather-dependent sort of event because it is outdoors, but rain or shine, it still goes, right?
Rain or shine, it still goes. I have ordered up some weather, so hoping for my orders to filled, and then
you bribed it well, did you?
I hope so. And then, but yeah, either way, this event goes forward. The ribbers will be here; they'll still be selling. Bring a rain jacket, bring an umbrella, you'll be fine.
Exactly.
So
it's a charity event.
It does, yeah, exactly. It goes a long way, and support those vendors, even the ones that have a hard time operating in the rain. We run the beer garden and drinks for the Rotary, like the Rotary Club does. So those funds are being used to support the community. So even if you are leaving, come buy a drink too. Just throw a buck or two into the coffers. One thing we're adding this year that I didn't mention is there'll be a limited number of takeout bags to go with it, so you can keep your items hot, so you're not having to try and wrestle items away, dig out boxes from somewhere. So yeah, we're trying that out. So definitely hop by if you're coming to get takeout, be sure to grab one of those bags and try that out. There's a little nominal fee for them, but come try stuff.
It's no different than the shopping bag at
exactly.
Sobeys or Superstore.
This is just insulated and will keep your stuff hot.
So mark these dates on your calendar. July 7th to 9th, that's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You got 3 whole days to get some great food, listen to some wonderful entertainment, and just have fun at the Yarmouth Rotary Ribfest. Rick, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you guys for doing what you do, and look forward to seeing you out at Ribfest.
I'm Gary Nickerson,
And I'm Quinn Taggart.
and this has been Outside My Window.